Hello, welcome to Goals Daily Transfer Show. I'm your co-host Mark, and Chief Correspondent Peter Staunton.
Hi guys.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you.
We've got a round-packed shift today, guys. We've got Ross Barkley, central transfer to Chelsea to talk about. We've got Coutinho's transfer saga with Barcelona, obviously. And we've also got an apparent secret Messi clause in his contract, which he signed at the end of last year. But first, we're going to begin with to discuss our Facebook user poll we had yesterday. Thank you all of you who got involved. Yesterday it was which transfer do you think of the January transfer window so far was the best deal so far. So our options were Van Dijk to Liverpool, Wagner to Bayern, Costa to Atletico, or Adrian Silva to Leicester. Who do you think won out of
that? Who do I think won? I think Van Dijk won the poll. But who do I think is the best January transfer out of those four? I'm going to go for Diego Costa.
I would agree with that, but yeah, Van Dijk won. He got 15 times more votes than anyone else. So clearly the users really do rate him.
Or they're just excited, you know. It's like when you get a new present at Christmas. It's like all you can think about.
A £75 million present.
A £75 million present, yeah.
So today's vote, which you can, if you're watching on Facebook, you can vote on my right hand side. Is how much you, my left, but they're right. Is how much you think Coutinho is worth. So your options are the angry emoji for over 150 million, the laughing emoji for 100 to 150 million. The heart emoji for 50 to 100 million, or the shocked emoji for under 50 million. And you can also get involved by commenting below on the Facebook feed to let us know what you think as we talk through the topics on today's show. So to start off with, as we've said before, is the Ross Barkley transfer to Chelsea. Chelsea correspondent Nas Kinsella believes that he's imminently going to join Chelsea for £15 million. Do you reckon that's a bargain or not?
Bargain, absolutely brilliant team. And it shows you how badly things have deteriorated at Everton. That they're letting prime asset like that, a homegrown asset like that, disappear out the door for 15 million. I think Barkley's been treated pretty abhorrently by Everton over the last couple of years. They've let his contract run down. You know, he hasn't kicked on, he hasn't developed as we thought he would when he was improving all the time under Roberto Martinez. And I just think his career is stagnated at Everton, and he needs a fresh start. And he will do really well at Chelsea, who are, you know, doesn't need me to say that they're a far better team than Everton are, but I think he will find his place in that team, and he performed really well for Chelsea. It's a great deal for Barkley, great deal for Chelsea.
So you reckon Chelsea's a better choice for him than, for example, Spurs?
Yeah, because I think his road is probably blocked at Spurs because of Christian Eriksen and Dele Alli. I think they've got two players there who perform pretty much the same tasks that Barkley performs. But at Chelsea, depending on how Antonio Conte wants to play, what system he wants to play, I think he can either slot into midfield, where, you know, Kante and Drinkwater and other guys like that have been playing, or else he can go a little bit further forward if they want to come a little bit more narrow in the attack and then make space for a striker like Morata just off him. But I think Chelsea have great options with Barkley, and I'm impressed. I'm impressed that they've pulled off a move for 15 million. I know Everton fans aren't impressed. Yeah,
that's what I was about to move on. Yeah. So there's quite a lot of angry Everton fans out there. I've got a tweet here from someone. Not a lot of them are publishable, but this one's quite good. Someone said, "I just tried to burn my Ross Barkley shirt, but the flame couldn't decide whether to go left or right. Did her in the same spot for a while and then died out."
Yeah, but we've had this from Everton fans before. I mean, they're content to sing the praises of their players, like John Stones, Romelu Lukaku, and Barkley while they're playing for Everton. But then as soon as they decide that they've outgrown those surroundings and they need to go elsewhere to improve their career, then all of a sudden the flaws are apparent. Oh, Lukaku can't trap a ball, John Stones can't defend, and Barkley doesn't know what decision to take. But I just think it's sour grapes from Everton fans. You know, Martinez was building a lovely team there, and he had Stones, Barkley, and Lukaku as sort of the centrepiece of that. And the whole thing has disappeared. It's kind of gone up in smoke, and now they've got Sam Allardyce managing them. I think they've gone backwards. Every decision they've made over the last couple of years has been a disaster.
It's safe to say that not all Chelsea fans are particularly happy with the deal. There's someone who wrote on Twitter that we're using Andy Carroll and Ross Barkley to make Hazard stay, while PSG used Neymar and Mbappe to make Verratti stay. The levels are staggering.
Yeah, I came across that tweet myself. In fact, and there's no doubt that Conte is disappointed with what's happened this season when it comes to the transfers that Chelsea have managed to get completed. You know, for a team that wants to kick on after winning the Premier League title, are the likes of Bakayoko and those guys good enough to kick them up to the next level? I'm not sure. But Barkley is probably a good option at this stage of the season, and I don't know if Conte is going to stay beyond the summer. But maybe the higher ups, all the way up to Roman Abramovich, might recognise in the summer the need to continually spend that money to keep pace with the likes of Man City, like Paris Saint-Germain and other teams like that. But
I guess, throwing him in at this stage of the season, considering he hasn't played at all,
he's been injured, yeah.
The hamstring injury, obviously. It'll be a nice opportunity for him to embed within 6 months a team that doesn't have too much pressure on winning the title, because at this point Man City are so far ahead that
it's over. It's all getting the top four. But also, I think it's a red herring to compare any club to Paris Saint-Germain.
Yeah.
I mean, if they can go out and spend 400 million on 2 strikers,
the 2 biggest deals of all time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just put Chelsea in comparison to that and say, oh, why aren't we spending this kind of money? I mean, it doesn't work like that. It makes for a nice tweet, but it doesn't have any sort of coherence in reality.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
So across Merseyside at Liverpool, there's a transfer saga which is bubbling away and probably will for the rest of the window unless Coutinho suddenly signs for Barcelona in the middle of it, obviously. I think this is going to drag on and on and on. So Melissa Reddy has the full details on Liverpool's transfer plans in the January transfer window.
January has usually been a quiet month over recent years here at Melwood for Liverpool, but not this time around. They've already been involved in the biggest transfer for a defender, paying a world record fee, £75 million, to bring in Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. And they now look to be involved in one of the biggest transfers potentially in world football, with Philippe Coutinho's future taking centre stage. Barcelona are interested in the player again. He still wants to leave, and they're preparing and finalising a bid that's expected to be in excess of €150 million, which would make him the 3rd most expensive player in the world, and Barcelona. January has usually been a quiet month over recent years here at Melwood for Liverpool, but not this time around. They've already been involved in the biggest transfer for a defender, paying a world record fee, £75 million, to bring in Virgil van Dijk from Southampton. And they now look to be involved in one of the biggest transfers potentially in world football, with Philippe Coutinho's future taking centre stage. Barcelona are interested in the player again. He still wants to leave, and they're preparing and finalising a bid that's expected to be in excess of €150 million, which would make him the 3rd most expensive player in the world, and Barcelona's biggest ever signing. Now there's obviously still a lot to work out there. There was the possibility of doing an advance deal that only took effect in the summer, but Barcelona and Coutinho would like an immediate resolution to matters. They want a deal to be concluded this month for now. Otherwise, there's a lot of fringe players that Liverpool need to assess whether it would be worth them going on loan, depending on the offers that come in, the likes of Daniel Sturridge, Danny Ings, Ben Woodburn. You've also got the Emre Can't situation. He's out of contract in the summer. He can start doing pre-agreements with overseas clubs. Juventus are in pole position to sign him. They're quite confident of getting him as a free agent. There's been a few stories doing the rounds saying that they will sign him in January for now, but that's absolutely not the case. They've not been in contact with Liverpool at all, and there's no danger of that happening, especially with the Coutinho situation hanging in the air.
Window, but of course the big talking point from that is Coutinho. Mel published a story yesterday basically explaining how Barcelona are willing to pay €150 million for the Liverpool star, which is the 3rd highest transfer fee of all time if it goes through. It's huge amount for Coutinho, but in the context of the transfer market, midway through the season, signing a top team's best player, you're going to have to pay that sort of money, aren't you?
Yeah, well, the Neymar and Mbappe deals, we'll talk about them again, but they've set the bar higher. Yeah. And every other decent attacker, if they've got a good length on their contract, is going to be priced in line with what PSG paid for Neymar. So, if 222 million is good value for Neymar, then you would have to say that 150 is probably where Coutinho lies in this market. Anything else would be a bit of a bargain. And also Liverpool I know they'll have a dissatisfied player if they hang on to him again, but they're under no obligation to sell. He's under contract. He's a first-team player. He's been treated really well by Liverpool. He's been, kind of given everything he needs to thrive. And I think 150 million is bang on the money for Philippe Coutinho.
Do you think they'll be able to sign somebody in time for the end of the transfer window to replace him, or will it be a case of we'll take this hit and deal with it in summer?
Well, you're always, you're always under pressure. If you sell a player and people know you've got the money to spend, we saw it happening to Barcelona with Dembele, where once Neymar went, Dortmund just kept putting the price up and up and up to make sure that they got pretty close to a world record fee for a kid who had only sort of one season at the top at a relatively high level. So if Liverpool do that, then they could very quickly burn through that Coutinho money, and because the information that Mel has is that they're not spending the Coutinho money on Naby Keita and Van Dijk. That money is set aside to improve the team anyway, and these Coutinho funds are extra.
Yeah.
So if that is indeed the case, and then this money needs to be used to replace Coutinho in the attack, then quickly I think you'll see the price for Thomas Lemar or whoever else their targets are go up and up and up.
We've actually got a short clip of how Liverpool fans could react if asked if they're going to miss Coutinho in the January transfer window.
No. No? Oh, don't cry, are you?
But next we move on to Lionel Messi. So there's been talk in El Mundo, a Spanish daily outlet, that he potentially has a secret clause in his contract, it's not really secret anymore, that if Catalonia separates from Spain, then he could leave on a free. Obviously at the moment his contract clause is 700 million euros. That would be a big loss to them if Catalan does split from Spain.
Be a big loss to Spain if Catalonia splits from it.
That's it, yeah.
No, look, this is it may well be there, but it's pie in the sky. I mean, we're a million miles from anything like that happening just now. And I think the clause is if Barcelona don't manage to get a place in a top European league after secession, then Messi will be free to go. But there's so many variables that need to happen before that becomes apparent. I don't think Barcelona fans need to have anything to worry about. They've just spent 6 months of the season worrying that he's going to leave on a free transfer, And, I think by the time that the photograph was actually taken of Messi signing a new deal, I think that came as such a relief for Barcelona fans. Because the way things were going, losing Neymar and sort of La Masia being ripped up and, Valverde coming in and nobody was really sure how he would cope with a squad like that. Things didn't look great for Barcelona sort of at the start of this season.
No, I mean, signing Coutinho, a lot of fans weren't happy with that.
Yeah, but he's proven to be a great signing. They're far and away top of the league, and they've got Messi on a new contract, and they're making analysts who at the start of the season were predicting Barcelona's demise. They're making us look very, very silly altogether.
One of my favourite things about this story from El Mundo is that apparently there are 4 stipulations for if Catalonia just split from Spain, he actually does have to stay. So that's if Barcelona end up joining or staying in La Liga, joining Premier League, joining Bundesliga, or joining Liga One.
Yeah.
But not Serie A.
Not Serie A.
No. He doesn't have to stay. So let's say that for whatever reason Barcelona end up in Serie A, Messi gets to hop away.
He gets to hop away.
Must not rate Serie A very much.
No, well...
Let's leave them out of it.
We leave Serie A out of it. But I mean, like I said, I think La Liga will do everything they can to protect their asset, and if Barcelona aren't in La Liga, then it's a bit like, I mean, we always talk about it being like the Scottish League in the sun. Well, you can see what's happened to Scottish football since Rangers tanked. Yeah. So I do think that they'll do all they can to make sure that Barcelona stay in the league. We don't want it to become like the Bayern Liga.
No, exactly. It gets a bit boring, doesn't it? So our final talking point today is Mourinho. So we talked a little bit yesterday about how there was a little bit of talk potentially about how he might throw the towel in this summer.
Well, I can see why people within United are concerned about the longevity that Mourinho might have at the club. I mean, if you sign a player and 2 years later he still hadn't actually moved to the town where the club is, you would ask questions and say, well, where's your allegiance? When are you going? Where's your commitment? When are you going to put your roots down and settle here? And for the manager who's trying to attract people into the club, not to have put his roots down, I think that will ring alarm bells for certain people within the club. And just because Mourinho describes it as garbage news, that doesn't invalidate the concerns that people around Man United have about him and not putting his roots down. So, how committed is he to Man United? Well, I think he's got a commitment to winning. But we spoke about yesterday, I do think that if they can get within touching distance in the transfer market to Manchester City, then I think Mourinho might in fact throw in the towel.
So thank you to those of you who commented on Facebook, who shared some of your opinions. We're going to read a few of them out now. Fields and Dunbay says that I think we're fine at Chelsea FC and we don't need more players.
That's no. You want to talk about garbage news? I think that's garbage news.
You think they need players?
I do think they need players because if you look at what happened during the summer when they lost, right? So John Terry left, Nemanja Matic left, and Diego Costa left, and they brought in Morata, Bakayoko, Drinkwater came in as well, and Rudiger. So they brought in players to replace the ones at the left. So they didn't actually get the opportunity to improve the squad. All they did was replace the players who had left. So that leaves the team at a standstill.
Mm.
And they didn't have Champions League football last season, and they have it this season.
Mm.
Okay, and we've seen the damage that it's done. They're a long way from Man City, and they've got a very difficult task in the Champions League because they've been underperforming.
Mm.
So what they need is players to take them to the next level. They don't need replacements anymore. They need better players than the ones that they've already got. So I still think they're probably about 4 or 5 signings away from competing with Man City. And I think the dissatisfaction that Conte has, well, that should be a concern too, because he's an effective manager. He's done really, really well at Chelsea. But if he walks out the door in the summer, then they have to tear it all up and start again.
Yeah. We've got a comment from Aditya who says, any truth in Aubameyang to Arsenal? We seem to see this every transfer window.
Aubameyang gets linked with everyone all the time,
Yeah.
but he's signed an extension to that Borussia Dortmund contract that he has. And look, I think Aubameyang is a really good player, and he's probably the one bright spot in Borussia Dortmund's season so far. He's still scoring. But I don't see him making that move now to a bigger, better club than Borussia Dortmund. I don't. Certainly not this season, anyway. I know Arsenal fans would love him, and that pace up front with Lacazette, I think he could really do some damage. But at this stage, I don't think Dortmund have got any interest in letting Aubameyang go.
Thanks to those of you who've commented so far. Please keep commenting and sharing your thoughts. We'll potentially read some more on our next show, which is we're back on Monday, same time. So please do join us, and thank you so much for joining us today.